Hello everybody, and thanks for joining me today. This is Fat Mike. Today we're going to be doing the Project Mercury Prototype 1 orbits. This tells us that the rocket is ready to launch on the launch pad. It's had its pre-cockpit inspection attached to a Redstone launch vehicle, which is pretty much just an early era tactical missile. After a couple of successful unmanned launches, it's time to perform a manned launch. You will enter a ballistic suborbital trajectory and splash down in the Atlantic. It says that the requirements complete the tutorial 1 through 3 in the Academy. I recommend you read the manual for the Mercury vessel, the actual capsule itself. Go to Steam and read the actual manual for this capsule and all its functions before you even do this. So we'll go ahead and click launch and we'll get started. Alright, Fat Mike, congratulations on being selected as one of our astronauts. I hope you had some time to go through tutorial 1 through 3 in the Academy. Yes, we did. I've done them all. Alright, you can see time to launch. I've paused the game or simulator at 9 minutes and 48 seconds, so that tells us that we've just got in the cockpit and that we entered at the final checks phase, which I think final checks is at T-minus 5 minutes. Right now we're at the power independency phase, which, looking right here, and this is set to main, we have not gained independent power yet. Alright, so let's see what all they had to say. You are currently sitting inside the Faticus 1 Mercury capsule on top of a 25-meter high launch vehicle with a thrust of 350 kilonewtons. It will take you into a suborbital trajectory. The backup crew has readied the cockpit for launch. Feel free to optionally go over the settings using the checklist. When ready, follow the final checklist on the mission pad to finalize the cockpit for launch. Roger. Okay. So as I said, looking at all our fuses are on, so they got all that set up. All this is set up. Everything looks good right here. So now, alright, so first thing we want to do, we'll go ahead and set our clock back up. We're going to go ahead and we're going to contact the building and we're going to say we want to switch to internal power. You see that my DC amperage just come up right there. So we are on internal power now. We want to ensure that the standby battery is off and the isolation battery is set to normal. We're going to make sure that's the way it's supposed to be. Go to checklist and at full internal power at T-minus 10 minutes. And yes, the isolation battery is set to normal and the standby battery is set to off. Alright, so our next checklist, we'll go back. Alright, they're telling us 9 minutes to launch. You can use 1 through 9 on the keyboard to scale time. We will be using that at some point. Usually you will start 5 minutes before launch, but since this is the first time, we've added 5 extra minutes. Roger. So they're saying we can go ahead and do our final checks. We'll go ahead and run them. Just click that button, run, close that down. Alright, launch control. Final check is really easy. Launch control set to ready. Just the radio. We want to come down here. We want to do a radio check. They'll come back 5x5 on UHF. Roger. Alright. Go ahead and click that check mark. Verify time 0 button. Cover removed. Right here. Click it once. It is removed. DC selector to battery 1 right now is on main. So now 1, that tells us how much amperage is going on just the main battery. If you can go through here, you can see there's the same amount on 2 and 3. Standby should be off because we have standby off over here. Standby 2 should be off, but it does have power going to it, but nothing's being pulled from it. And the isolation battery has got full power and nothing's being pulled off it. And our main circuit is pulling that much amperage off of this battery. Okay, so we want to be monitoring these every 30 seconds as we ascend. Alright, next we're going to arm the squib. And then we're going to arm the retro jet. And that also operates the separation stages. So we have to have that on, but as soon as we lose our rocket motor, we want to make sure that our launch vehicle, we want to make sure that we turn that off so we don't accidentally fire off our retro burners. Alright, so that is a full final checks. We are clear for takeoff. We are just waiting on the clock to time us down. Now, if you will look, I will give you a tip here. I see a lot of guys that do this, and they are burning up when they come back in. If you look at your checklist, go back here, look at your checklist, and look at the pre-retro. It is supposed to be done 30 minutes prior to a retro burn. As you see right here, when we are 4 minutes and 45 seconds once we take off. Once this clock starts ticking, we are going to be 4 minutes and 45 seconds before we start our retro burn to begin our descent back to the Earth. We will launch in 5 minutes. That is 9 minutes and, well, 10 minutes or so. A little over 10 minutes. We're supposed to do this 30 minutes prior. And he tell us right here, we want the cabin temperature cold. We want the suit temperature cold. And we want the inverter temperature cold. Okay? So what we need to do is make sure that now we start turning these bad boys on. We need to get these temperatures down. We might be a little cold, but here in about 10 minutes we're going to be burning up. 5 minutes to launch. Go through the mission and briefing pages in the flight folder. Roger. So it's always good to know what we got to do while we get up there. So our mission today is there's going to be a launch time at 2 o'clock, or that will be 1400 p.m. It's 1:55. We'll be splashing down, complete with a fly-by-wire pitch control test. All right. This is the flight plan. At 3, T plus 3. Once this hits 3 minutes, we need to be doing a fly-by-wire pitch control systems test. Alright, and what's that entail? Set flight mode to fly-by-wire, pitch down to minus 34 degrees, set flight mode to ASCS auto. Observe if it's possible to modify pitch altitude using FBW. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get up to launch. We'll stop at about 45 seconds. It stopped it at 58. 1 minute to launch. Ensure the launch control switch is set to ready. It is. We did that in the final checks, but we want to make sure if this isn't set to ready, we're not going nowhere. Now, we need to be checking on the way up. We need to be ensuring what our G's are. Make note of it. Make sure that we have fuel in both tanks. Check our descent and make sure we are climbing the whole way. Watch our altitude gauge. Our cabin pressure gauge will come down to 5.5. Keep an eye on our temperature gauge. This is our sensors gauge. We really won't need it. Our cabin O2 levels. And we need to be monitoring our electrical circuits. Alright, we are on liftoff. The timer has started.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear.
Remember, when they call for the fly-by-wire test, we need to pitch down at a 35-degree angle. Pitch maneuvering started. This is all controlled by the computer. We see that our suit temperature is coming down. Okay. Cabin pressure is decreasing. Cabin air temperature is getting low. Alright. Oxygen, both are level. Cabin O2 level's fine. Check our mains. We still got power on everything. 1 minute and counting, getting closer to stage separation. Alright, our timer's still working. We do not have a fuel leak in either of the control tanks. We're pulling right at 2 Gs right now. It's just a tickle, really. We're at 80,000 feet.
Cabin holding at 5.5. I understand. Cabin holding at 5.5.
1 minute and 30 seconds after separation, the ASCS will automatically dampen the rates and orient you to retrograde direction. Once you are in retrograde attitude, you will perform the FBW fly-by-wire pitch control system test before the retrograde sequence starts. Alright, we've reached 1,000 feet. Our altimeter is no longer working, but we can do an altimeter check with tower. We're at 36.1 nautical miles. Engine just cut off. Go ahead and bring up our checklist. Alright. Redstone. Run. Then we can go back. Alright, we have tower separation. Tower is green. Next to be the separation of the capsule from the launch vessel.
Cap step is green.
Alright. Next, we want to make sure we are starting our burn to retrograde. Auto retro off. Turn this breaker off here. And this one. Start our orbit checklist. We are not doing an orbit. Now once we get there, it's going to want us to do. Alright, it's going to want us to do our maneuver. Set the fly-by-wire. Alright, and we're going to use this to do a 35-degree pitch. Downward. Alright. Now we're going to burn back. And we're going to say, and we're there. We're burning back to retrograde. Roger. We want to go ahead and we want to do our pre-retro checklist. Alright, we've done these already. Roger. We are 17 seconds from retrograde burn. We set the auto and man. Start the retro checklist. Alright. Alright, there goes the warning signal. Waiting on retrograde burn. Alright, there goes the warning light. Retrogrades are firing. Alright, our next is going to be our re-entry checklist. As soon as these stop firing, we are going to turn on the retro jettison. Be sure that the fuse is on. And as you see here, we're waiting on to jettison these. There's the delay. And there's a reason we are doing this before we enter our re-entry attitude. That way we don't come smashing down on them. Alright, the retros have jettisoned. So now we want to go ahead and align ourselves with re-entry attitude. Alright. Go ahead and remove these covers in case we have to use them. Roger. And we are now at re-entry attitude. Our tail end is pointed at a downward angle towards our descent. It is pointed towards our periapsis right now. Remember, on return, you want to be pointed towards the periapsis. You want to be flying backwards towards the periapsis. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and initiate that. We have started our 10-degree roll rate burn. We're going to start our landing checklist now. G's are really going through the roof. Right now we just passed over 10 G's there for just a second. Our temperatures are looking good. We're not cooking. We can go ahead and start turning these back to 3. Alright. Roger. We are through the plasma. Next, we want to ensure that our drug chute deploys. $50,000 feet. $40,000 feet. Our drug chute should deploy around 21,000 feet. 30,000 feet. Our drug chute is deployed. Alright, there are oxygen levels, so we're going to go ahead now and we are going to pull the pin on the snorkel. Open this valve here. Next, we're waiting on our main to deploy. We'll have our finger on the emergency button. Our main will deploy at 10,000 feet. Our main is deployed. Next, we'll be waiting on our landing bag to deploy, which it is deployed now. We're going to go ahead and pressurize the cabin for water pressurization. Set this to RT. And that's it.